Hello and welcome to our presentation of our analysis of the Healthcare.gov case study. This presentation is for the Management of IT and HCI class for Spring 2020 at Kennesaw State University. I am Austin Mascarenas, and the other members of my group include Andrew Macy, Austin Poole, and Mario Welch. In this presentation, we will review the issues involved with the development and launch of the Healthcare.gov website in 2013. We will review and analyze the problems with the development team's strategic alignment, IT risk, human-computer interactions and user experience, IT assurance and project management, summarize our findings, review our recommendations, and present our sources for the information provided in this presentation. Healthcare.gov is a federal website that was created to facilitate the purchase of private health insurance. It was launched on October 1st, 2013, and crashed just 2 hours later. It suffered numerous technical difficulties due to problems with its development and implementation, leading to the site not working when it was up and long periods of downtime. These issues were not corrected until 2 months after the launch, but the damage had already been done. These issues created serious concerns over the effectiveness of CMS, or Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, and their management of the federal marketplace. Issues with the management team and an absence of clear leadership created delays in the decision-making process. These delays resulted in truncated development cycles with unreasonable expectations placed on the development team. Issues with the policy development are a direct result of the leadership's lack of experience dealing with website development and a general misunderstanding of what is required of the website to run properly. A lack of proper leadership and guidance resulted in little to no coordination between departments and poor organizational structure overall. All these issues combined with an overwhelming demand for services provided by the website led to the website's crash and subsequent crunch to try and fix the problems created during development. Next, we will discuss issues with strategic alignment and its effects on IT strategy. So strategic alignment is the act of having all aspects of a business arranged to best support the business's long-term purpose. IT strategy is a comprehensive plan that outlines how technology should be used to meet IT and business goals. Typically, an IT strategy is a physical document that contains information on cost management, hardware and software management, vendor management, risk management, and a lot more. Both elements need to be used together during the development process to help keep a project on track. There was no clear IT strategy laid out for the Healthcare.gov website, which led to unnecessary alterations made to the scope, unclear objectives, unclear goals, and a lot of wasted time. A lack of proper IT strategy also resulted in a mishandling of the contract with the development team and a lack of funding for the project, further complicating the development process. To correct these issues, the development team created a more comprehensive IT strategy with the website. During the redeployment phase, they began to focus on creating a quality product over hitting a deadline, which resulted in some missed deadlines, but ultimately created a much better product. They developed a policy of continuous learning so that they could learn from their past mistakes and improve. They documented their mistakes and aligned their IT strategies with their resources and expertise that was actually available to them. After taking these steps, the site improved significantly. The site was able to accommodate more users, going from 6 successful applications when it first launched to over 60,000 successful applications at relaunch. The reliability of the new site increased user trust and satisfaction, which was a direct result of increased communication and good leadership techniques developed during this process.
Hi, I'm Andrew Mask, and I'll be going over the IT risks involved with Healthcare.gov. So with IT risk, that's just usually the potential of a given threat that will exploit the vulnerabilities of any given system. In this case with Healthcare.gov, it could be anything from using database attacks, trying to manipulate it, using SQL injections, anything of that kind of caliber. Some of the risks that I noticed when going over the Healthcare.gov case study is that they're using technologies that really didn't line up with the expertise available to them. One in particular being the NoSQL database platform. That was just one that I noticed was mentioned a few times, and something that appeared to be just main focus on their lack of expertise. Another risk that was put in place was just inadequate planning for website capacity. That unfortunately tends to happen with many websites that happen to be put up to the public, especially for things like, or another example is online games that come out on day one. Usually you'll see that they did not plan for the capacity at all of the users on it. So you'll see things like lag times, just general loading of information, or their infrastructure can't handle the data it's pushing through to their users. So it tends to cause many like a better way to put it, complications when people are trying to use a website. Sometimes data may even get lost when they're trying to submit stuff. And another risk that I noticed going through the case study was just general deviation from the standards set for their IT infrastructure, or IT architecture. Apologies. So there may be things such as the IT department creating the website will have one layout, and then maybe a few days later down the road, the project owner will come through and, quite frankly, just request that something totally different happen and doesn't really line up best with the security standard that they've laid out. Some steps taken to manage the IT risks. One of them was quality over on-time delivery. In the event that something's just not going to meet the deadlines, they'd rather take a priority on the quality of the product versus just making sure it's there on time. Another example from the video game industry would be just sometimes a game developer will produce an item that's just not up to quality, but they're there to meet the deadline. Unfortunately, it comes with many bugs if that were to happen. Another thing that the Healthcare.gov team would implement is just extensive testing to identify and fix any bugs that be on the website. So they do their own security tests, stuff like testing out various SQL injections or any other manipulation of the website in order to make sure that the product that they will release is at the best that it can be. Another thing with the quality over on-time delivery is just delaying a new website's functionality if it's just not ready for execution. So say there's a part of the form that's needing to be filled out, or they're adding a new part of the form. Unfortunately, it may not be up for testing. They would then just put it on hold until it is ready before they try and implement it, and just honestly have a risk just sitting out there in the wide open for anyone to exploit. So on top of quality over on-time delivery, there's also the authorization to operate. So with authorization to operate, this case would be a senior official or an executive would deem that the functionality of the website was sufficient and accepts any associated risk with what would come with the website being deployed, or the newer version. So if the web app was to not be up to par, if it was to be exploited, the senior official who gave the authorization to operate would then be the one to be blamed with as they accept the associated risk. So the post-action outcome, with everything that was taken to manage the IT risks associated with Healthcare.gov, there's been a quality product that's been trial tested and more likely to not have vulnerabilities, a well-established trust between the user and the Department of Health, and also a website with a lower likelihood of user data being stolen.
Okay, my name is Austin Poole. This is my first set of slides out of 2. This is the good HCI and UX section. We will go into more detail about what these terms mean in a second. So this first slide in this section, then the good HCI and UX section, supporting good HCI and UX issue. So HCI is the human-computer interaction. This is the design interaction between computers and humans. This is basically what you're seeing on the screen now, or like what you interact with whenever you go on websites or you play games or anything on your computer. This is your interaction between yourself and graphical user interfaces as we know them today. The user experience, which is UX, this is the experience between the user and the computer. This is any experience, good or bad, between you and the computer. The healthcare's login page had many issues within HCI and UX. The one that I thought was major would be the UX, the user experience. This would be the bottleneck on the main page that they had at first. Whenever users were trying to access their main site, they would just get locked out. And I'm pretty sure the page was down for good parts of when it was up, or when it was attempting to be up the first time before they tried to fix any issues. and IT staff were unable to even get in to their side of the landing page because they use the same site as users to log in. So troubleshooting issues was impossible when everybody was getting locked out. One of the ways that they try to fix this is hiring new contractors and increased management, and it seemed to work out pretty well. So some of the IT steps that they could have taken, or maybe they did take these steps, which I'm pretty sure that they would have thought of this too. These are 3 points: simplify, consistency, and usability. So all of these go hand in hand, as you will see in a second. So simplify minimizes the risk while supporting good HCI and UX design. You don't really need to beef up your website too much to make it good, very user-friendly. Doesn't need to be too cluttered, which goes right into consistency. Consistency creates an inviting, welcoming environment for users. As I said, you don't need it to be too beefy, you don't need it to be inconsistent. Users will be happy with very basic, usable website, especially when it comes to getting your healthcare. You don't need to be on the site for that long. It doesn't need to be that beautiful or doesn't need to be over the top. Usability goes right in hand with this. You want all the users to be able to navigate the site, or as many users as possible. It doesn't have to be everybody. You would like to get to everybody, but that's a stretch. So getting as many users to be able to use the site as possible is very important. So I added an extra slide here because I thought that these were important IT steps to take whenever doing good human-computer interaction and user experience. So controls, checks and controls are very important when it comes to the back end of a website. You want to make sure that all data is complete, secure, and privately processed, I guess. Completeness and validity checks are important. Make sure that the website is complete. There aren't any holes that you run into while testing these features on the site. And you want to make sure that everything is valid. Identification, authentication, and authorization is important. Identification is basically you giving your username, per se, on the healthcare website. This would be like username or maybe even an email. Authentication would be a password. A correct password would let you in. An incorrect password would not let you in. And hopefully you have a way to stop hackers from getting on, because that's a big issue. And then authorization is the users not getting the same website as IT professionals, or not even being able to see the same authorized information that IT professionals would be able to see. And then input and forensic controls, both of these combined are just basically your data is being securely submitted into the server, and it's not going through a ringer to get there. It's not being tossed around. It's not able to be, it's very secure. It's not able to be tampered with and anything like that. And then HCI and UX, I just put these little bullet points on the bottom. Like I said in the last slide, you don't want everybody to be able, I guess you probably do want everybody to be able to access your site, but you don't, it's not necessary. There's going to be some disabled people that aren't going to be able to get on your website, but you should be able to target your website for as many people as possible. You don't want it to be too over the top where even some people who aren't disabled or have issues would be able to use your site. And then you want to remap the site for consistency. You don't want it to be very inconsistent. You want it to be as simple. You don't need it to be too beefy, as I have said. You don't want it to be inconsistent. You just want it to be as usable as possible. So this last slide here in the supporting good HCI and UX section is post-action outcome. So after you decide to implement all of your fixes for whatever your issue might be, in the case of the Healthcare.gov site, they had server issues basically, and the website issues where users couldn't even be able to get on to be able to secure their healthcare. So providing a secure platform for users to be able to input data effectively. You don't want users to be able to not be able to get on. You don't want users to be able to get on and ineffectively be able to put in data. You want it to be as seamless as possible. Ease of access is important for all users. As I've said, consistency is good. You want to target as many users as possible. Getting everybody on the site is near impossible. So you want to target as many users as possible. And then continuous implementation of improvements. Continue to push out improvements. You want users to be able to give feedback. You want to be able to take that feedback and be able to update whatever is possible. If one user has an issue, there's going to be more people that have that same issue, of course. So it's not just that one person. And you also want to keep in mind that there are some people who are not going to give feedback. So you want to look for improvements yourself as well, if possible.
Hi, this is Andrew Massey again. I'll be going over the IT assurance portion of the case study. So with assurance, just practice of assuring that the information stored in the infrastructure is secured. Anything that would be vital or private is just not exploited or taken from malicious entities. So part of assurance is also managing the risk, as I covered in the previous portion that I was on the PowerPoint. It's also managing risks, in particular relating to the use, processing, storage, and the transmission of data and the systems used for such purposes. There are two big issues that I noticed, both of them coming into testing, and making sure that the website was good to go. The first part was just the testing generally just ran really behind schedule. So testing come back with vulnerabilities, and because the scheduling issues were there, the IT team behind Healthcare.gov really had their hands tied, and they couldn't fix the vulnerability to make it properly executable. A quote I found in the document was regarding the CMS leadership. It was not properly briefed or properly portrayed about the issues that were happening that week during security testing. It's quoted from one of the top CMS security officials when testifying to Congress about Healthcare.gov's shortcomings, for like a better way to put it. In addition to the testing running behind schedule, security testing was just generally incomplete at the time of launch. There still could have been vulnerabilities that can be easily exploited at the time of launch of Healthcare.gov. So the steps taken to have better IT assurance with Healthcare.gov, an interim ATO would require to complete security testing within 6 months of the website's launch. That way, any easy vulnerabilities that you could find just with a basic sweep of attacks can be found. The problem can be brought up, and then the solution can be implemented by the IT team. It allowed the FFM to operate for 6 months, provided that the security risks were reduced by employing a mitigation plan. The mitigation plan would then include completing additional security testing and installing continuous monitoring to make sure no other vulnerabilities, if they were to be exploited, there'd be pretty quick recognition, just making sure that the system can be secured before anything too serious can be done to the system. So on top of the interim ATO, the CMS made key decisions to build on current systems rather than create new ones. Then they would develop contingency plans as well to make sure in the event of an exploitation of a vulnerability, there would be backups and there would be a backup plan in general to make sure that the system is not taken advantage of, and there is a way to keep moving forward with Healthcare.gov. Also, technical systems integrator would be hired post-implementation of the website to make sure that anything that's added on top of the system is integrating correctly with the existing system. So for the post-action outcome, the IT assurance portion of the case study, contingency plans have been put in place in the event of an exploit on the system. So since no system is ever truly 100% secure, aside from just basic security guidelines when developing applications, having contingency plans is the next best thing once everything within the IT department's power is done to make the system secure.
So this next section of mine, my name is Austin Poole. As I've said before, this is the IT project management section. So steps or ideas about managing a project, an IT project. So the first slide here is going to be about problem solving and continuous improvements. So these 4 bullet points that I have here are very important for information technology managers and management. First, you want to budget accordingly. Most teams have a set budget before they start a project, and you want to budget accordingly. You also want to have a proper amount of staff. Having a proper amount of staff is very important for getting your budget right and getting your project out in time, since most teams have a schedule. And as I say in the bottom bullet point, the very bottom of the slide, is that the healthcare website did not have very good staffing, and it didn't have very good management either. And organizing and planning, it's basically 2 of the same steps, kind of. Organizing, you want to have all of your ideas straight. You want to have everybody in your team on the same plan. All those good things. When it comes to planning, you definitely want to have a set schedule though, and you want to have everybody in your team on that schedule. You don't want to have anybody that's not looking ahead, doesn't realize that their completion times are coming up soon. You don't want to have due dates that are coming up soon and them not realize it. You want everybody on the same page. And then information technology managers must maintain an up-to-date understanding of terms, concepts, and principles in the IT environment, just as you will go through in your IT classes. Everything is changing in the IT world. New technologies forming, new hacks and exploits are also being figured out. You want to stay up to date on everything that's going on in the IT world. It's an ever-changing field. There are always new exploits, new issues, new terms, everything coming available each day. And as I mentioned, the healthcare government, or the United States Department of Health and Human Services, seem to bring in new management for their Healthcare.gov site. It worked out pretty well. They got their website up and running in a pretty short amount of time, and they kept it up, and I don't think that they ran into any issues after that, at least not to my knowledge. So IT steps taken, slow down and plan accordingly. This is major when it comes to scheduling. As you can see from the Healthcare.gov site, they did not push back their dates from the predetermined ones in the Affordable Care Act. They might have been ready, it seemed like, but they probably weren't. They didn't do enough testing for sure, as you can tell. Of course, millions of people are going to try to log into your site when they want healthcare. Management should have been aware of that and pushed back end dates while staying on a plan. So if they need to update their plan, then that would be the time to do so, of course, when they're thinking about pushing back the dates. And get everybody on track. Get all of your team together, let them know what is going on, that they need more time, and that they are giving their team more time, of course. Apply important terms, concepts, and principles in your plan. Managers should be able to facilitate outages and malfunctions in the site. They should have saw it a lot earlier. They should have been ready with IT professionals at launch. They shouldn't have had the IT department logging into the same site as users. That if the users can't get on, then IT professionals wouldn't be able to get on either. And leadership was not prepared for the amount of traffic originally. Like I said, there's millions of people in the United States, millions of people want healthcare. Everybody wants healthcare. So everybody would probably hop on that as soon as the president or whoever announces it. And then IT management needs to stay current with IT ideals. IT is an ever-changing industry, which I said, in which new exploits, risk, and issues appear overnight. So every day there's something changing in the IT world. I'm sure there's more new exploits every day for every possible place that there could be an exploit on different websites, programs, games, anything of the sorts. And I'm sure that this site is no different. There were hackers for sure looking to get into this and try to find an exploit and be able to get into their system database server and get any information that they could. So some of the post-action outcome ideas for management and IT projects is to be sure to keep IT professionals current with changes and plan. So if you need to set the schedule back a little bit, you need a little bit more time, you need a couple more weeks, a couple more months, then you need to make sure that everybody on board knows what is going on. You want to have board members, everybody that you need to keep in touch with, anybody who deals with the budget, with the planning, organizing, in touch, let them know what the plans are. Keep all workers up to date on newly discovered issues. All workers should know, of course, what exploits, any issues that are on the sites, any of these things. Continue to effectively budget, staff, organize, and plan. When it comes to the budget, your budget might be growing as your site becomes more popular, and your staff is always going to be changing. People are going to be leaving, people are going to be coming in. You have new managers come in and out. You need to keep an eye on how much staff you need and how much staff you have. Organize, have everything organized, have a plan. You don't want to get off the plan, or else your schedule might go back a little bit more, which would not be good. And you want to remember that millions of users' data is at your hands at the company. Just as I said, for healthcare, millions of people are probably trying to get on in a single day, let alone the whole span that it will be up. I'm sure there's hundreds of millions of people who want healthcare in this country. So having all their data in your hands is not a very good thing if there is an exploit. And then identification, authentication, and authorization are crucial, as I've said. This is how exploits happen. You don't want a user that only has baseline access to have IT professionals level access to your site.
Hi, I'm Mario Welch, and today I'll be getting to the summary of IT management. The certain issues we ran into are strategic alignment, manage IT risk, support good HCI and UX issues, IT assurance, and IT project management. Strategic alignment, basically what that is all the elements of the business are arranged to support the business. IT risk, the potential that a given threat will exploit vulnerabilities, thus causing harm to organization. HCI, which is human computer interaction, the design interaction between computers and humans. UX would be user experience, the experience between the user and the computer. And IT insurance is the practice of assuring information and managing risk related to the use and processing of the computer. So now we're about to talk about the steps taken into IT management. Okay, so some of the steps taken to fix strategic alignment issues would be ruthless prioritization, quality over on-time delivery, simplifying processes, and continuous learning. Steps taken to fix manage IT risk would be quality over on-time delivery and authorization to operate. Also, steps are taken to fix. Make sure you edit that out. Steps taken to support good HCI and UX would be consistency, usability. Steps taken for IT insurance would be The steps taken for IT assurance would be interim, and the steps taken for managing IT projects would be plan accordingly and apply important terms and concepts and principles. Post-action outcomes for the issues. The outcome for strategic alignment would be strategic launch of website and successful applications ranges from 6 to 60,000. The outcome for managing IT risk would be quality product, establish trust between users and DOH. A website with low quality, probability of data breach. The outcome for supporting good HCI and UX would be providing a secure platform, ease of access, and continuous implementation of improvements. The outcome from IT insurance would be contingency plans to be put into place. And the outcome for managing IT projects would be to keep IT professionals and all workers up to date, be organized, and plan accordingly with an efficient budget. So we're going to talk about the recommendations of IT managers. Recommendations for IT managers would be to follow the steps to be able to replicate a successful IT environment, and to make sure to plan and create deadlines to be able to implement applications and to solve certain issues. So the lessons we learned during this project are that not every issue can be addressed. Most of the issues have reasonable solutions. The steps taken are easily implemented, and better integration of complex environments with shared IT services.
Here are references and sources that we used for this presentation. If you have any questions, please feel free to submit them in the comments below. Thank you very much for your time, and have a great day.